Hello, it's Tuesday, the 18th of October, and welcome to your 5-minute briefs from Seoul. I'm your host, Hee-Jin Koo. In our second installment of this month, we take a look at South Korea's grim economic growth outlook for next year, a jump in import car sales, as well as South Korea's surge in exports of eco-friendly vehicles, and Samsung Group's plans to foster biotech to drive future growth. We also explore how South Korean hospitals are adopting smart technology and how the local service sector is turning to robots to make up for the lack of workers. Let's begin our 5-minute roundup. South Korea's consumer prices slowed for a second month in September, largely on a slide in oil prices and agricultural products. Still, the central bank and policymakers signaled it will likely cut its economic forecast amid jitters in financial markets both at home and abroad. Statistics Korea said earlier this month the nation's consumer price index grew 5.6% in September on year, after cooling for the first time in 7 months to 5.7% in August. Finance Minister Chu Kyung-ho said during a meeting with G20 central bankers and policymakers in Washington last Thursday that Seoul is in sync with the Bank of Korea's latest hike in interest rates by 0.5 percentage point to 3%, the highest in 10 years. He further hinted of more to come, adding that the nation will see a weaker growth next year than the government's previous outlook of 2.5%. The International Monetary Fund also echoed similar views last week, marking down next year's growth estimate for Asia's fourth largest economy to 2% from its previous forecast of 2.1%. Bloomberg cited its survey of economists on Monday, saying that the BOK will likely end its series of rate hikes in the first quarter of next year to around 3.5%. South Korea's central bank has raised key rates by a total of 2 percentage points so far this year to offset inflation amid soaring fuel costs and a buckling local currency. The Korean won has lost about 1/5 in value this year against the US dollar. Such grim outlook notwithstanding, September sales of imported cars in South Korea jumped 17% on year, while local automakers also saw a near 35% surge in exports on demand for eco-friendly cars. The Korea Automobile Importers and Distributors Association said earlier this month the number of newly registered foreign-made vehicles stood at 23,928 units last month, up from 20,406 units a year ago. The 3 top-selling models, BMW 520 sedan, Mercedes-Benz E50 sedan, and Volkswagen's ID.4 were electric vehicles. The local distributors of these 3 German brands saw a combined 16,501 units, up 21% from the cited period a year earlier. South Korea's car exports last month also jumped 34.7% on year on demand for eco-friendly cars. The Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy last Friday said the value of outbound auto shipments reached $4.79 billion last month, the largest September tally to date. Exports to North America soared 70.1% to $2.26 billion, while those to Asian nations nearly doubled to $434 million. Shipments of hybrids, electric vehicles and other eco-friendly automobiles in particular rose 35.1% on year in September to $1.41 billion, marking the 21st month run in on-year gains. As such, auto giant Hyundai Motor Group's R&D division announced through its official YouTube channel last Wednesday it will spend 18 trillion won or $12.5 billion through 2030 to develop next-generation mobility software for vehicles, allowing them to update themselves just like smartphones. Meanwhile, Samsung Group chief Lee Jae-yong has pledged to boost corporate commitment into the biotech sector to nurture biopharmaceuticals as a future growth engine for the mobile and chip giant. Lee attended an opening ceremony last Tuesday for the fourth plant of Samsung Biologics. The conglomerate has already poured in some 2 trillion won into its first 4 plants, part of its first 270,000 square meter complex, roughly the size of 67 football fields, that it started to build in 2020 in Songdo, Incheon, just outside of the capital Seoul. The company said this will help boost production at Samsung Biologics to the world's largest at a single manufacturing bio facility. It plans to invest an additional 7.5 trillion won or $5.2 billion into its second 357,000 square meter biotech complex, 1.3 times the size of its first, also in Songdo, through 2032, to churn out medicines, pharmaceuticals, and bioequipment in line with the shift in the global chemical industry. Also undertaking a transition are South Korean hospitals that are turning to smart technology in its day-to-day operations to provide next-generation healthcare services. According to an exclusive feature by medical journal Daily Medi on October 6th, more and more healthcare facilities are opting to go paper-free by using voice recognition software or an electronic medical record system to input patients' charts. The EMR system, first introduced in the country by the St. Mary's Hospital in 2019, was recently adopted by the Korea University Annam Hospital and the Suncheon University Hospital. The EMR, also referred to as the Electronic Health Record System, helps save time and reduce stress on the part of medical professionals, according to Dr. Kwon Sun-young, who first introduced the system at St. Mary's Hospital and even set up its own EHR voice lab. The Bundang branch of the Seoul National University Hospital also adopted a comprehensive EMR system, eliminating the need for X-ray films or paper prescriptions and charts, keeping records only in digitized format. Samsung Medical Center in Seoul recently announced that it plans to set up an integrated robot control center to manage numerous types of robots that assist in logistics, medical rounds, and social quarantine. Asan Medical Center announced it will set up the world's largest system for digital pathology and help revolutionize artificial intelligence-based diagnosis. The nation's service sector is also turning to robot technology. South Korean shops and restaurants are increasingly using robots to substitute workers amid an ever-dwindling pool of part-timers, according to features by the Mail Business newspaper and Ilgan Sports. More and more 24-hour coffee shops, especially those at expressway rest shops, have begun using robot baristas that pour espressos and Americanos for customers that input orders at kiosks. A number of Korea's famed fried chicken outlets have also started to use robots that fry chicken to perfection, with exact timers and detection software. The newspaper attributed the increase in the use of robots to a growing lack of young part-time workers, due to a steep decline in birth rate and a rapidly aging society. South Korea's service sector saw the highest rate of worker demand after the most dire logistics and delivery sector as of the second half of 2021. The use of robots and other automations, currently standing at around half of the logistics and services industry, will likely expand to substitute 80% of the workforce by 2025, according to DB financial investment analyst Yu Jinhyang. He said such trends will especially be notable in the restaurant industry in the years to come. Meanwhile, Statistics Korea said last Friday the nation added more than 700,000 jobs in September, the largest on-year gain in 23 years. Unemployment rate dropped by 0.3 percentage points to 2.4%, the lowest for the month of September since 1999. That wraps it up for this episode of 5-Minute Briefs from Seoul. This has been Hee Jin Koo for KBSI, wishing you a great week.